A higher mind is shining from the heart, from the place where the heart and the lungs are functioning. And this light is reflecting upon the mind in the head, and it is reflecting outside through the five senses. This process will be absorbed into itself by the fifth practice. Then the mind, which is working in the brain cells, gradually comes to the heart through only one process of practice. That is by thinking of your heart and lungs and no other thing at all in this world. Then after achieving this, when you begin to think of the respiration and the heartbeat, the senses stop functioning, the mind stops functioning, and you will be fully conscious. You will be functioning as long as you are meditating. True meaning of meditation. This is the fifth step, which is called pratyahara. During this process, the senses are withdrawn into the mind, and the senses follow the mind. Previously, the mind was following the senses into the outer world and reacting to the external stimuli. So, the process has changed. The whole process has been reversed. The senses, instead of the mind following the senses began to follow the mind from outside within. They have cut off their connection with the environmental effects. Light stopped to appear to the eye from outside. The wall before you stopped to appear to your eyes from outside. And then you propose your heart and respiration, which is appearing to you from inside. It is not the physical heart and the physical lungs that is appearing to you, but it is the functional heart and the functional lungs that are appearing to you. And this process this step is called pratyahara. When you are experiencing this step, you will experience the absence of all other things, absence of everything around you. Previously, even though you try to experience the absence of other things, it will be a waste. Even though you shut yourself in a room separately, even though you do not allow your wife and children to come to your meditation room, when you bolt your door inside and sit down, everything from outside is entering through the walls of your mind. When you sit down and begin to meditate, you will recollect a person who was disturbing you previously. You will recollect how he was talking to you and not allowing you to make meditation. You will recollect how your wife was talking to you when you are meditating. Now in the room, the wife is not there physically. She has been to the market and she is physically absent in the house. But she has entered the walls of your mind and she is disturbing you now. Because you are recollecting how she disturbed you yesterday and day before yesterday. This is what happens when you began to meditate previously. Once a teacher of yoga asked his new disciples to come and begin the practice of yoga. The yoga teacher came from India and the new students belonged to Belgium. They asked him, "Sir, at what o'clock we should be present?" The Indian guru said it was 4:30 in the morning. He never understood the difference in the climate between India and Belgium. Because in India, 3:30 a.m. will be very, very comfortable and calm. We all of us get up and take our bath and sit in meditation by 3:30 or 4:30. So he asked the disciples, new disciples, poor fellows, to come by 4:30. They asked him if they could take coffee. He said, no, it is very sinful, very unholy. One of the disciples asked, "Can I take my breakfast and come?" He said, no, you are not fit to be a student of yoga. You have to take a head bath and then come to me directly. Of course, after having his dress. Then, poor fellows, they came very carefully and with great devotion. Then the Guru asked them to close their eyes and asked them to meditate upon the rising sun. Then he asked, "What are you seeing?" The first disciple said, "A beautiful cup of coffee with a saucer." And the second disciple said, two slices of bread with butter in between. That is, then a friend of this guru advised him, if you allow the fellows to eat and take coffee, the physical coffee and physical bread will appear before them only for a few minutes. But if you do not allow them to drink coffee or take bread on the physical plane, they will be eating the mental coffee and eating the mental bread and drinking the mental coffee continuously for hours. And the breakfast will never be finished. That is the case with the mind. So, unless we know the art of withdrawing, if we close our eyes and shut ourselves in a room, things do not stop coming to our mind. Our mind can never be withdrawn. Our senses can never be withdrawn. But when you have finished this fourth aspect of yoga practice, whenever you propose the movements of the respiration of the heart and lungs, the mind and the senses will be gradually withdrawn towards your heart. And even though you open your physical eyes, it is not the lights and the ceiling of the room you are seeing, but it is only the center of your heart and lungs you are seeing. See, when a person is sitting on top of a house, that is on the upstairs, second or third floor, and asked to take a dinner, and someone tells him that a fellow is waiting downstairs with a pistol to kill him. The person can see only a person with pistol. He can never see the dinner table before him. This is the power of the mind. When properly used, it becomes yogic power. When the heart and lungs are proposed by the mind, you can be in the pratyahara state, even though your eyes are open. Your ears are exposed to big noises. You will allow the ears to hear only when you permit them. Otherwise, you will find the whole unit withdrawn into yourself. See, when you are attending to the TV, when you begin to witness a picture, a movie, do you remember the frame of the TV set? If the picture you are seeing is absorbing to you and interesting to you, you will forget that it is a TV set. And soon you will enter into the story of the cinema you see. This power is there in you which is working daily. And it is this power you are expected to utilize in yoga practice. In your everyday life also this power is working in you. Whenever you are seeing a drama, when the drama is interesting to you, do you remember that it is a drama? You will forget that it is a drama and you will soon enter the story. You will forget the name of the theater where you are attending. You will forget the name of the street. And if your friend was talking to you in the chair before the drama started, your mind will drop off the existence of your friend by your side. That is, your friend will not exist anymore as long as you are witnessing the drama. This is our daily experience. That means the inner mind, which is called the supramental consciousness, which never sleeps in you, which is working in you day and night, which is making your lungs respire and heartbeat even though you are sleeping, that has the power to absorb the ordinary mind and the senses within itself. And it has the power to live and make the mind and senses function according to itself. This change occurs in the fifth step of the yoga practice. This change is called pratyahara. And then you will know by yourself that the mental unit is existing in yourself as long a time as you order, as much time as you want. If you are engaged for 1 hour or 2 hours or 1 day or 2 days, the mind and the senses will not exist for 1 day or 2 days even. Not only that, The metabolic functions of your body also do not exist as long as the mind and senses do not exist. When you are able to arrest your mind and senses in yourself, 2 days or 3 days is no question at all, because the time stops for you. Don't believe that time exists in the watch. Time exists only in your mind, and it is only to measure your mind you are having a watch. So when the mind stops to exist, time stops to exist to you. Then if you allow the mind and senses to get absorbed in you for 2 or 3 days, then the body requires food or drink no more for the 3 or 4 days. And there will be no necessity for stool or urine or perspiration also.
Ils n'auront plus la nécessité non plus.
Because the human constitution is a threefold unit having matter, force and consciousness. Matter is in the form of your body and tissues. Force is in the form of your respiration and circulation. And it is expressed through every center of force as the activity of your physical body. And your consciousness is there in your heart and lungs, making the heart and lungs work. That is why it does not sleep when your mind sleeps. You may think you are sleeping, but you are not sleeping. During sleep, it is your mind and your senses that are sleeping. If you are really sleeping, how is it possible that the lungs and the heart are functioning? So understand the difference between yourself and your heart, your mind and senses. When once this mind and the senses are absorbed in yourself, until you let them out work again, there is no work. There is no activity of the senses. There is no activity or the combustion of the human constitution. But you will be living, the body will be living. After practicing this, you need not verify by practicing it 3 or 4 days without eating or drinking. You will be able to know very easily when you get at this power. When you order your mind to get itself absorbed in the heart, and when you begin to observe it, the mind will never go out into the senses until you order. And as long as you keep it like that, the mind exists like that. This is what is called pratyahara. The next step is you should do something with this newly born mind. You propose something new, which is different from the activity of your respiration and heartbeat. For example, you can mention the face of your friend now. His face will be before your eyes for as long a time as you want. It may be 1 hour or 2 hours. It stands there. If you propose the picture of Christ or Buddha, now the picture will be there for hours or days together, and your mind will never go to the Sunday market unless you permit it to go. So now it is your duty to propose something new to this controlled mind. If you propose anything which is really auspicious, for example, the idea of Buddha, the idea of Christ, or the idea of Krishna, or anything you like, anything you think holy and elevating. It may be a beautiful piece of art. It may be a combination of colors. It may be a musical note. It may be a statue. It may be a sunrise. Select something and propose it to the mind. Then it stands there. When you practice this, gradually the mind gets the nature of the newly proposed something. Instead of the mind getting changed, the mind gets elevated. The mind becomes the higher and higher mind. The thought becomes sweeter and sweeter. Because there are no thoughts, but there is only thought. Previously you were having thoughts. Now you are having only thought and not thoughts. This practice is called dharana. That is the 6th aspect of yoga practice. You can take a sentence from a scripture and practice for some time. For example, take the sentence of Christ, I am the way.
Je suis le chemin.
If you put your new mind on that, you will understand the real meaning of that sentence. Because it is not the words that you are reading, it is not the grammar of the sentence that you are reading, it is not the relationship between the meaning and the word that you are reading, but you are reading the author directly. Whichever book you begin to read, you will read the author directly, but not the meaning of the sentence. Normally, before this practice, when we read a book, we will be able to understand the book only partially. The result is we have some difference of opinions with the author of the book. Now, after this change has taken place, you will not have any difference of opinion with the author of any book on this earth. Let it be even a bad book of a bad author. Because you will read the author, not the book. You will understand why the author has written that book. Then there is nothing bad in the book. This is the state that which was experienced when Emerson said that there are no bad books in this world. There are only badly written books. There are no bad people in this world. There are only badly behaving people. That is what the great seer Emerson has said. You will understand from what level he spoke. Normally, when we read a book, we begin to judge the book of its merits and demerits, so that we may have an opinion upon the book and the author. Even we read the book of great people like Vivekananda or Aurobindo or Shankaracharya or even the Holy Bible, we begin to have our own dirty opinions about them. Because there is a gap existing between the book and ourselves when we read them. When there is no possibility at all to have an opinion over those books, when the books are given as lights for us to get enlightened, we may be utterly foolish enough to express our opinions about those books. I may say the author of the Old Testament has written like this, but I think there is some defective thinking here. Here the author is mistaken. Like that we will have our dirty ideas about a very author. That is the result when we read books before we practice yoga. The result is not the benefit of reading the books, but only the labor and the trouble of reading the book we get. Whatever book we read, we will be having only the trouble of reading it and the additional trouble of having our own dirty opinions about every book. Now, after this change has taken place, if you begin to read a book, the author speaks to you. If it is a bad book, the author will explain you why he has written that book. This is the stage you will get in the next step. This step is called dharana. When you see a person, you will not see his face. Your eyes are seeing his face, but you are not seeing his face. Your ears are listening to his voice, but you are not listening his voice. Your mind is listening to his sentences and conversations, but you are not at all listening to his sentences and conversations. Your logic is attending the good and bad of his conversation, but you are not at all attending the good and bad of his conversation. You will be seeing him and nothing else. Who is he, in fact? He is the same as yourself inside. Then you will begin to see the same light in everyone. This is what happens when you begin to experience dharana. When you see a cheat, you will see the person, why this fellow is living like a cheat. And your presence transforms him gradually. Because as you begin to see him through his eyes, ears and heart, he begins to see himself. Previously he refused to understand himself, therefore he is living as a cheat. Now he will begin to understand himself. And when he lives with you for some time, he will know himself. And he will be like yourself. And he will be yourself. This change takes place if you are really practicing the scientific path of yoga. You will no more argue with him. You will no more call him a cheat. You will no more discuss with him that doing like this is very bad. You will calmly permit him to do what he wants. And you will keep your own distance from him, not to be affected by his deeds. and he does not know why he is being transformed. It is not your logic that makes him. It is not your power of argument that makes him, but it is what you call your presence that makes him. Presence is not physical. Presence is something more. If you understand the magnetism in a magnet, if you compare your physical body with the weight of the magnet, then the magnetism in the magnet is like your presence. It is your magnetism that works as your presence. And after some time, he need not be in your presence.
En votre présence.
Even in the absence of your physical body, he will be in your presence. See how people are in our mental presence when we like them. I can sit here, but I can think of my wife and children in India because I like them. Like that, presence is not physical. Presence is something more than mental and supramental. This fifth state, called the Pratyahara state, makes you give your presence to everyone. It is a matter of tuning that makes others feel your presence. Just as the radio or the TV in your room, though it is 10 miles or 15 miles away from the transmitting station, it is receiving the programs that are being transmitted. Similarly, your presence will be received by those who are tuned to you. This is the practice of dharana. When you begin to meditate upon any sentence in a scripture, you will become that. Do it for some time, take another sentence. Do it for some time, take another sentence. It is for this purpose our scriptures are given, our gospels are given. It is not for logical understanding that these books are given. It is not to discuss and give our dirty opinions about the scriptures. Of course, sometimes we do it as fools. But when we once begin to practice yoga, we will understand that every sentence in every scripture gives you light and not logic. It gives you only presence and not ideas and thoughts. When you practice this, you have to go to the next step. When you propose a sentence in your mind, the sentence should disappear from your mind, and the person who has written should stand in your mind. But it is not the face of the person that should stand. It's not the name of the person that should stand. It's not the photograph of that person, but it is that person who stands before you. Where is the person without a body and a photograph and a face and a sentence? You will understand when you practice this seventh step.
La septième étape du yoga.
An author will be present to you without his picture, without his name, and without the name of the book you are reading. The moment you read the sentence goes away from your mind. The name of the book never exists in your mind.
Ah, plus dans sa vie.
The impression of author will never exist in your mind. But the author exists in you. Author means the person while he was giving this sentence. You imagine the moments when the sentence was being born from the author. Before he has translated the sentence into his own language, the sentence exists in him before he writes the sentence on the paper. It exists in him before he translates it into French. First of all, the sentence comes as idea. Then the sentence is translated into his known language. Then the sentence is translated transcribed on paper. You are reading the sentence on the paper. You are leaving it, going into the sentence in the language. Then you are leaving it, going into the sentence when it was born. Imagine how a sentence is born in your mind. If I say this is a watch, it is a vocal sentence. Before I utter this, I should have an English sentence in mind, this is a watch. And before there was an English sentence, there should be a sentence before language, thought sentence, before it is translated into any language. And before that sentence exists, I exist without the sentence. Therefore, I am the origin of the sentence. From me, the sentence takes birth. From the sentence, a language sentence takes its birth. The sentence in a language takes its birth. And from it, the vocal sentence will be uttered forth. It is written on paper or printed on paper. We are reading the sentence on the paper and trying to understand the author. While doing so, we are gathering the meanings of the words used in the sentence. Whenever we are defective in understanding the meaning of a particular word, we are understanding the author only in our dirty way. Suppose the meaning of one word is doubtful in my mind. Suppose I have to refer to the dictionary for the correct meaning. Even then, I am trying to understand the meaning of the sentence blindly. Then I am trying to express my opinion about the author. All these steps will disappear. The direct step of direct perception will be given to us. The moment one sentence we read from the author, we will read it only as the author and not the sentence. This practice is called dharana. Then the next step. The next step is called dhyana. You propose in your mind anything in this world. It need not be a sacred thing. It need not be a sentence from a scripture. It need not be the picture of Buddha or Christ. It may be the face of your husband or your wife. Then begin to apply your yoga on it. You will understand your wife. Previously, you are having your impressions about your wife and you thought it was your understanding. Now, you will directly understand the person as she is. The name of the person will drop away from your mind. The shape of the person will go away from your mind. The voice of the person will go away from your mind. Your ideas and impressions about that person will go away from your mind.